Okay, now let's go on to part 2 of our Chapter 9 test review on polynomials. We stopped really right here on number 11. So first of all, when we get to the part that we're factoring, remember if I have no number in front of the d squared, I just have to do my cases. So if I go to look at this, this is a plus plus, which means that it's case 1, which also means that you're going to have a sum of 10, this middle number. The only thing that we have to kind of worry about on here is when we set up our parentheses, it's case 1, these are both going to be D1 and D1. No evil clown face like we talked about in 9.6 because there's no number in front of d squared except for 1. I'm also going to factor 9, 1 and 9, and 3 and 3, and I want the pair of factors that will give me a sum of 10. So this will give me a sum of 10. So 1 and 9. Okay, now, in this problem, if this is what I think it is, I should be able to multiply these back together and get this expression up here, if that is the correct answer. So remember, you can double check yourself if you would like. So that means on 11 that my answer is going to be D. Okay, let's try the next factoring one. This one, remember this middle term, if there's not a number there, is a 1, so it's negative 1. So if I have two negatives, that means it's a case 3, which means that it is a difference of negative 1. If I go to do these parentheses, one of these is going to be plus and one of these is going to be minus because it is case 3, and I only have to factor 42. So 1 and 42, 2 and 21, 3 and 14, 4 doesn't go into it, 5 doesn't, then 6 and 7. And this is the pair that's going to give me a difference of 1. Now if the difference is negative, that means this one is negative and this one is positive, which can help me place them in the right spot. So based on this, on number 12, my answer is going to be A. Okay, next one down. Now this one is a little bit tougher because you have numbers in front of the x squared and larger numbers in general. So if I start out, this is minus and then plus. So on 13, that means that it's a case 2. I have a sum of 16. And if I go to set up this problem, one of these is going to have to be plus and oops, not for case 2. So for case 2, I know that both of these are going to be subtractions. I also know there's going to be an x and a y with both of these because of the way the problem's written, because there's an x squared in front and a y squared at the end. I'm going to factor 15 and I'm going to factor 4. So remember, when we're looking at these factors, we want to start with the ones closest together. So start with 3 and 5 and 2 and 2. So I want to be able to set this up so that I can get a sum of 16. So 2 and 5 would give me 10 when I multiply them together, and 2 and 3 would give me 6, and I want to make sure that these two give me a sum of 16, which they do. That means it's just all about organizing now. So the 3 and 5, because we have the same signs down here, doesn't have such strict policies except that they have to go with the x's. Oh, I forgot my evil clown. So 5 hooks to the 2, so 5 hooks to the 2, and 3 also hooks to a 2. So that means our final answer is going to be 3x squared minus 25y times 2x squared, or times 5x minus 2y. So if I'm going to look at the answers on 13, means B is going to be my answer. Okay, next one. 21x squared plus 55x plus 14. So first of all, in this problem, no common factor to take out. So I'm just going to go through my normal drill. So if it's plus plus, then that means it's case 1. That also means it has to have a sum of 55. If it is case 1, then down here, x plus and x plus. I'm going to add my evil clown because I've got a number in front of x squared that's not 1. I'm going to factor 21, and I'm going to factor 14. So 1 and 21, and 3 and 7, 1 and 14, and 2 and 7. And remember when we talked about this problem to begin with, or any of these, that we usually start with the ones that are the closest together. So 3 and 7 and 2 and 7 was where I'd initially start. So 7 and 7 multiplied together would be 49. 3 and 2 multiplied together would be 6. So that means that 49 and 6 would give me a sum of 55. So that means at least I know where I'm going to be putting stuff now. Okay? Because these are both plus, we just have to make sure the 3 and the 7 are with the x's. The 3 hooks to a 2, so the 3 hooks to the 2, and the 7's hooked together. So that means that my answer for this one is going to be 3x plus 7 times 7x plus 2. So if I'm looking at my answers on 14, B is going to be my answer. Okay, next one. On this one, we are back to just factoring one number, this one down here. So if it's a minus plus, case 2, sum of 14. If it's case 2, I know these are both going to be minuses. The only number I am factoring is 49. Now I want a pair that are going to give me a sum of 14. So that would be 7 and 7. Because these are identical, they fit that category with the special cases. So most people are going to write it like this. So up here my answer is going to be B. Okay, I think we have just a couple more here. On this one, r squared minus 49. These are one of the special cases again. And I notice that both of these are perfect squares. R squared is r and r. 49 is 7 and 7. So this is one of those where we do one time it's plus and one time it's minus. That's why there's no middle term, because that happens. So on 16, that means my answer is A. Okay, on the next one. This is also one of those special case ones, and I can just tell. There's a minus, and I can tell they're perfect squares. So 4x squared would be 2x and 2x. 81y squared is going to be 9y and 9y. So when I set this up, one time through it's going to be add, and one time through it's going to be subtract. So that means if I were to look up here at my answers, my answer for this would have to be B. Okay, now this is one that throws people off every single time we do it. Mainly because we haven't factored the g cubes, but I left it on here kind of as a piece to see if you knew how to kind of take the answer and work backwards. So really, the easiest way to solve these is to multiply these two together and see if you get this for your answer. Okay, so I'm actually going to go over and look at C. So C is 2g squared minus 5, and then 3g minus, or plus 4. So I'm going to multiply this and see if I get this back. So 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. 4 times 2g squared is 8g squared. Now normally I would have a number, then a g column, and then a g squared. So I'm going to actually go out here and write g squared, because if I end up with a g, I want to have a place to put it. So now if I add a 0, 3g times negative 5 is negative 15g. And 3g times 2g squared is going to be 6g cubed, which would have to be over here if I wanted standard form, because that means in these spots I could add zeros. So 6g cubed plus 8g squared minus 15g minus 20. So if I know that this matches this, answer C. Now I could go through one at a time and do those, but C is the only one that's going to give you that kind of an answer.